Hey, do-it-yourself junkie 369 here, and today I'm going to cover the proper way to field strip the 1911. There's probably a lot of videos on YouTube about field stripping the 1911, but I have not found one that shows the correct way to do it. Before I start this video, real quick, I'm going to cover the 4 basic weapon safety rules that you guys need to know before handling a weapon. The first is treat every firearm as if it was loaded. Rule number 2, do not point the weapon or firearm at anything you do not intend to shoot. Rule number 3, keep your finger straight and off the trigger until you are ready to fire the weapon. And then rule number 4, keep the weapon on safe until you intend to fire. In this case, on the 1911, when this bar is up, the weapon is on safe. For field stripping, the first thing you want to do is make sure the weapon is clear and safe. To do that, you're going to eject the magazine. Then you have to put the weapon on to fire. Make sure you keep your finger straight and off the trigger, usually index along the slide here. Then put it on fire, you just flip the safety lever down. And then grasp the slide, pull it to the rear, ejecting the round. When you do this, you also want to make sure that there's no magazine present and no rounds in the chamber. Usually I'll cycle the slide 3 or 4 times to make sure that the weapon is in fact clear. Most of the instruction videos on the internet for field stripping the 1911 are going to show you pushing in on this recoil spring plug and then rotating the barrel bushing out of the way. Now, if you accidentally let go of this plug, the recoil spring will shoot across the room and possibly damage something or injure somebody. Once the recoil spring and recoil spring plug are off of the gun, the next step would be to position the slide so this notch lines up with the slide stop. Then on the other side of the pistol frame, you have this protruding pin. You push on that to remove the slide stop. Once the slide stop is removed, you can pull the slide off of the lower frame. Once that's complete, you remove the guide rod, and then you remove the barrel by rotating the bushing and removing it from the slide. Making sure the barrel pivot is down, you simply pull the barrel out through the forward portion of the slide. And that's the basic field strip of the 1911 that is normally shown in YouTube videos on the internet. At this point, you have taken the pistol apart to the point where you're able to clean it. Reassembly is in the opposite order. You place the barrel into the slide, install the bushing, make sure the guide rod is placed on the bottom of the barrel, and then hold it in place with your thumb, and make sure your barrel pivot is in that down position. Line up the slide with the lower half of the pistol frame and slide the 2 pieces together. What you want to do is look through the hole that the slide stop goes into and line up that barrel pivot with that hole. Then you take your slide stop and place it through both pieces and rest it there in its correct position. Slide the slide back until the notch lines up with the aft portion of the slide stop, and then simply push straight down. This is the portion where most people mess up and end up marking up their brand new pistols. Once that's complete, slide forward, rotate the bushing 90 degrees to the side, put the recoil spring and the recoil spring plug into place, and while holding it down, push the bushing back into its correct position. At this point, pistol is assembled and correct. You can see safety functions, grip safety functions, and the pistol is also able to fire. This is a difficult way to disassemble and reassemble the 1911. The proper way to disassemble the 1911 is to take the slide, hold it so the notch is lined up with the slide stop, push out your slide stop, then slowly release the slide forward, making sure to hold underneath the slide to keep the recoil spring from flying out of the pistol as you disassemble it. Once that's complete, you simply grab the guide rod and the spring, recoil spring, and remove it. From there, it's simple to slide the bushing to one side, remove the recoil spring plug, remove the bushing, and remove the barrel. Assembly is the reverse order. Put the barrel in, put the bushing in, place the recoil spring plug in, place your recoil spring in, position the guide rod in the end of the recoil spring, and then using your hand to hold the spring in place, place the guide rod in the correct position. Once the pistol is together, you do not have to cover the recoil spring anymore. In this position, you reinstall the slide stop, pull the slide back to line up the notch with the slide stop, push it together, and the pistol's together. Function check, safety works, grip safety works, and the weapon's able to fire. Real quick, I'm going to cover the condition codes of the 1911. These condition codes are important for aiding you in quickly and accurately describing what condition your weapon is when talking online or during training sessions at the range. First condition is Condition 4. This is magazine not inserted, chamber empty, hammer down, weapon on fire. Condition 3 is magazine inserted, chamber empty, hammer forward, weapon on fire. For condition code 2 to exist, you need to place a round in the chamber and then lower the hammer. So now condition 2 is magazine inserted, round in chamber, hammer down, safety on fire. Condition code 1 is magazine inserted, round in chamber, hammer back, and safety on. This is the preferred way to carry the 1911. There's two reasons why carrying condition code 2 is especially dangerous for the 1911. Right here is the firing pin. As you place the weapon on fire, you have to hold the hammer to the rear and pull the trigger and then let the hammer down. During this time, if your thumb drops off the hammer, it could strike the firing pin with enough force to fire the gun, and then not only have you had a negligent discharge, but your thumb is also right here where the slide and the hammer are going to recoil. The second part is, if you're carrying the weapon in this position and something strikes the hammer as if you dropped the weapon, it could hit with enough force to fire the weapon, and then you have a negligent discharge that actually could end up shooting yourself. It's also not a preferred way to carry, because when you draw in a stressful situation, you also then have to reposition your hand to cock that hammer back. This adds time and an unnecessary repositioning of your hands. It's a lot easier to carry condition 1, draw the pistol, and simply slip the safety from safe to fire, making the weapon ready to fire. This has been my video on how to field strip the 1911 in the proper way, and a quick summary of its condition codes and the 4 basic firearm safety rules. Please comment, let me know what you think, or if you have any questions, go ahead and I'll put them up and I'll try to respond to them. Thank you.